formally launch the symposium, Mr. Adrian Munnelly, the Director of the Arts Council.
Thank you, Emer. It's a great pleasure for me to come this evening to celebrate with Noel and Emer and all of the people who are involved in the Crossroads Symposium, the bringing of works of art to the community in Roscommon. I was just thinking when somebody was saying earlier on about the Arts Council being able to make art, I immediately corrected them and said the Arts Council does not make art. What the Arts Council does is try to facilitate those who have ideas about how to celebrate their imagination, to touch the imagination of other people, and that's what we do. And we're especially pleased, and Sarah Finlay, our visual arts officer, is down with me this evening. We're especially pleased to be associated with the Crossroads Symposium. We've seen over the last 20 years or so, the phenomenon of the interest in the arts going from virtually zero to almost 100%. Over the last 12 years, there has been an increase of something like a third in the number of people attending arts events. And that's over that short period, a little more than 10 years, a third increase in the number of people attending arts events. But within that, and more significantly, for us in our culture, which has been a literary culture, there's been a threefold increase in the number of people attending art exhibitions. Now, that seems to me to be something that's quite remarkable. In such a short space of time, there's such a change in attitude towards the arts, and especially towards the visual arts. I don't think it's come about accidentally. I believe that the Arts Council has had a role in helping people to renew their view of art. I think, however, that there's been another factor in play, and that's the way in which we, as a people in Ireland, have become more confident. Occasionally people say we've become more mature, but I believe we've always been a mature people. But I think we have more confidence in ourselves and more confidence in our culture and more willingness out of that confidence to be able to make pieces of art and look at pieces of art and be able to enjoy them, or, and this is very important, not enjoy them, and willing to say so. Like most of us here, I suppose, when I was going through school, I had no contact with the visual arts. Ample contact with theatre, some with music, and of course, literature, but very little contact with the visual arts. And I would have been, 20 years ago, intimidated by a work of art, because I would believe that somebody with whom I was conversing would know more about it, and that if I said anything, I would seem like a fool. That lack of confidence, I think, is something that is changing. And people are willing to say what they think about what is essentially the product of the imagination of their fellow Roscommon person, man or woman. Or indeed, as we're very happy to celebrate here, artists from overseas. All of that, I believe, is part of the way that we, in our culture, are changing and becoming more familiar with the arts and more willing to engage with the arts. I'd like to pay special tribute to Roscommon County Council, to the councillors, and we have representatives here this evening, and to the officials who have seen that there is a demand within their community to explore the imagination of their colleagues within that community. I visited, before coming here this evening, Edenvale House, which is the old barracks. Most impressed by the building itself, which I'm told dates from about 1706. A wonderful building, a wonderful facility, remarkable, that has survived. And I think that's a credit to the local authority, that it has survived and has been used and can now be renewed within the community for the use of that community. It's providing a shelter for a number of artists who are living and working here in Roscommon. The idea, and I'm sure it's an idea that some of you find odd, as I would, that 30 years ago that we would have a colony of artists from the area living and working and making their living, however that living may be, in the community, quite remarkable. I think the local authority has played a significant role in that. In the Arts Council, we believe that we're on the crest of a wave in terms of arts development. This year, some of you will remember that we published an arts plan. We've had the backing of our Minister, the Minister for Arts, Culture and the Gaeltacht, in securing some of the funding to put that plan in place. He's fully committed to the plan, and I hope that he will be able to secure the funds to allow the plan to be fully implemented. It's a plan that is integrated in the way we produce it. And indeed, one of the counties that we've targeted within that plan is County Roscommon. And the reason we targeted County Roscommon was because we saw that there was a receptive public and public representative body that would respond to any support we could provide. I hope that the plan will secure from government the necessary funding to allow us, with partnership with local authorities and partnership with artist groups, to be able to implement the plan. One of the bodies that I must remark upon here is the Working Artists Roscommon, WAR. I remember a couple of years ago when this came on my desk, I thought it was a threat. In fact, I've been visiting the area and meeting artists from WAR for a number of years, and they have played a major role in creating a climate within which the contemporary visual arts are more acceptable on the one hand and accessible on the other. I'm delighted, incidentally, to hear that an exhibition including some of the Working Artists Roscommon was a show in Dublin recently, and there are prospects, I understand, that it will travel to Boston, probably in 1997. And on that, I have our heartiest congratulations. I think that celebrating our environment is something that we haven't been good at. However, we have changed to begin to recognise that the total environment is something that is visual and gives us stimulation, enjoyment of some kind. Indeed, over the years we saw the way in which many of the remarkably suitable materials for our environment on signs in shops, in villages and towns throughout the country were destroyed and replaced by a plague of plastic. I know we've all seen the way in which that has changed. I think that that's part and parcel of the way that we're becoming more sophisticated visually, and I have no doubt it's something that will continue. All of the pieces that are being created, and there will be up to 20 pieces created. Some will be inside, as Emer said. Some will be outside on some of the roundabouts. There are something like 20 locations. All of those works, I would urge everybody to take an opportunity to see and to look at critically. Don't look at it and say, oh, isn't it lovely? Look at it and say, why do I think it's lovely? And then if you don't, say so. The only way we will have a critical audience for visual art is when people are willing to say why they like something and why they don't like something. It's the role that the artists are playing in this seminar is an educational one, as well as one that will enhance, albeit temporarily, the environment. This symposium is similar to the one that took place in Chersaulia. The title of it was Chersaulia, in the north coast of Mayo, my own part of the country. And it was hugely exciting for local people. Men drove their tractors for miles just to see it and look at it, enjoy it, dislike it if necessary, but were excited by it. I think that Roscommon is very fortunate that people who, with very little support, financial and otherwise, despite the support that the Arts Council has given and the local authority gives, and that those sponsors in the town have given, have, through the sweat of their brows, late at night, put this symposium together. And we should all thank them for that, and particularly Noel Malloy, who spent so much time in putting this together. In the heart of the country, it gives me enormous pleasure to see the vitality that exists within the visual arts. Vitality, I think, that will pay dividends for the whole community. in making the community more conscious of the value that is within its own indigenous local culture. And that, essentially, is what the Crossroads Symposium is about. In giving a welcome to our foreign guests, I greatly hope they will enjoy the hospitality of Ireland. I know they will enjoy hospitality in Roscommon. And with that, it gives me enormous pleasure, and indeed a privilege, to declare Crossroads officially open. Thank you.